Okay, somebody's got to explain this to me because honestly, like, I feel like I missed the memo. So, someone made a video about the fact that some girl, Jada Wada, let Little Baby smash on the first night, and this is supposed to be news. I don't understand. First of all, like, I don't know who Jada Wada is. I don't know why this shit came up on my feed, but it did. So let's fucking talk about it. First of all, like, Little Baby, Lil Wayne, Jay's. Really, I couldn't name one black rapper who is not a straight up whore. Like a whore. Also, tonight we have Milk and Champagne. I think there's something to Milk and Champagne where I feel like that actually might be a little bit like all you need in life, but whatever. Sometimes just having a glass of milk kind of gives you like this, I don't know, this thing that you need in terms of just being kind of like okay. It's like you just have your glass of milk and you're like, yeah, I'm all right. Okay, so like Little Baby is not like some conservative who's like super prone on his values. Okay, neither is like Quavo or any of the other black entertainer or rapper. All of their songs are always about the same thing. I fucked this bitch. I went to this place and spent this money on this bitch. I saw this bitch. She was so bad. Blah, blah, blah. I shot this other guy. Like, every fucking song is about that. These are not conservatives with morals, principles, or values, or culture. That is not what this is. So the fact that, like, Little Baby had sex with whoever Jada Wada is, I don't even think that she's some conservative or something. So why, first of all, why are we out here pretending like hookup culture isn't literally a normal part of this society? It is. And I don't feel like I've ever heard anything about Jada Wada with a cross being like, I'm at church every Sunday and God this. I don't know. I've never heard that. I've never seen her on no conservative panels. Like, I don't know. She's probably just like a regular ass girl out here. Okay? If you're a part of like regular society, like hooking up with a nigger like Little Baby is like no new news. Like, that's how they behave. Okay? I'm not trying to be like I'm the person who's a part of like respectability culture, but I totally know how to behave in certain circles. And like, if you're going around a bunch of black dudes, like, they can't keep it in their pants. Like, there's no, like, they don't, it's not like they have stimulating conversation. You're like literally there for the dick. Like, there's nothing else. I don't understand. What do we think this is? Like, they're not like intellectuals. Why do you think they're not overrepresented in academia? Like, come on, bro. Like, let's be real for a second. Like, so Jada Wada like smashing Little Baby, or like, here's another thing too. Like, why are you guys still trying to do like this like whore shaming sort of thing? Like, Drake and Little Baby are just as much of a hoe as like Jada Wada and whatever other girl that they're smashing. Like, they're actually like bigger whores than the women. They literally probably like every night they're with like another woman. Like every night. Every night. There's like 365 days in the year. That's how many women like they have. And they have access to more than that because they can fly them out, toss them back, like all type of shit. Like, what do you guys think this is? Look at the way they behave. Like, why are we pretending like, oh my God, like, you can't apply white social standards to the black community. First of all, there is no black community. And secondly, this is another reason why I want to really point out, like, to everyone who's under this impression that like black American society is going to continue, you are wrong. You are wrong. Like, to the biracial people who keep believing that like colorism is going to save you, it isn't. Okay, to the like black Americans who are so into criminality and drug culture, it isn't going to save you. To everyone who doesn't understand that public health crises are real, man, it's just like, this is called a society, and black Americans have been the target of quite a lot of violence, poverty, and destitution, but there are like consequences that come with that, and these are the consequences. Like, I don't know, like Little Baby is a whore, and also Jada Wada is too. Like, but this isn't news. The black community doesn't have any standards or morals. Like, sorry. let's talk about reality for a second. Okay, like the songs, the music videos, nothing is about like love, chastity, God, ethics, working, financial, and just fucking nothing that has to do with like living. All of it is about like, how can I get closer and closer to death and destitution? Every song, every video, every podcast, everything is like, I hate my own women. I hate the way that I look. I hate my hair. I hate my clothes. I hate my neighbors. I hate my just. It's like, okay, bro. At this point, you really should just jump off of a fucking bridge, because there's nothing to live for. Like, you're not living for anything. Everything that was valuable, you disrespected it all over and over and over, and you continue to like perpetuate disrespect. Well, now there's nothing. Like, every single thing that was valuable, you shat on it. And now there's nothing. And you're surprised? Like, I don't... Also, this is the thing that's so strange. Like, I don't even know why anyone at all, especially, like, black women who seem to, like, want to, like, move forward with their lives in society, lifting up these men or propping them up and trying to make them heroes at all is not helping you. Like, it's literally wrong. Like, the more that you give them like notoriety and fame and like recognition and all these things, all it does is just make you look worse. And it doesn't even just make you look worse, it's like making society worse for you. This is why I keep making videos about hypersexualization. It's a real thing. And I even saw FD Signifier, and they had like a group in this, I think it's the tourist guy. So it's like 3 black guys who are on a panel talking about like, it's basically the hypersexualization of black males. That's a real thing. Like, other communities are not looking at black people as full humans. They're looking at them as like meat. Like, oh my God, black men are hung. They're like penises. So women from other cultures are like, ooh, I can get with a black guy and I can have like really great sex. They're not like, oh, I can get with a black guy and have like a life partner. Most people aren't thinking that. And even the women who do end up settling for the black men, like, we got to be real here. Like, especially a lot of you guys are now talking about like assortative mating and like the value of partners. Like, really let's be critical here. Like, look at the partners that a lot of like black males have. They aren't the cream of the crop in other communities. They got the ugly women, like the rejects from the other communities. Like, really look. Like, every single time, like, go out and see it for themselves. Like, the cream of the crop in the Asian community, let's just let's talk about like the Chinese community. Like, if you see a Chinese girl who's dating outside of her race, she's dating somebody who's like wealthy, like he's like great, like he's like attractive, like probably has like a great job. Otherwise, like, she could just be with someone who's like great in her own community. But like, that applies in every community except for the black community. Like, over and over again, you will see black women who are like really, really great. Like, they're really successful, like they're pretty, like they pretty much have themselves together. So I'm not talking about like the fat black women who have like their lives are in fucking chaos. Like, I'm not talking about those women. Like, those women have their own problems, and I think we all know what they are. That's not who I'm talking about, because I actually see I feel like all of these black women that I'm thinking about, this is like the Kelly Stamps of the world. They like actually have their shit together, and black men are still making these like derogatory songs about like those women. I'm telling you, like, there is no hope for the black community. There is not a black community. And the fact that like that's supposed to be news, that Little Baby is a hoe, and like Jada Wada just, I don't know, treated him as such, being like, of course I'm gonna smash it. It doesn't even mean anything. Like, smashing Little Baby on the first date or like 2 years into like whenever, like, he's a hookup. Like, in her story of life, like, Little Baby is a dusty dude that she smashed. Like, that's the way that story goes. Like, y'all are telling the narrative wrong. Like, you're trying to give like Little Baby some credit that there's no credit due. These dudes who are out here, like, literally smashing every pretty girl that they see, this isn't, like, some, I don't know. It's not surprising. It's not out of the ordinary. It's not even special. It's normal. They have, like, normalized hypersexuality, fuckboy culture, and they've made albums and music videos and a whole society around it. This is normal. This is average. this is not a headline. And whoever's trying to make it such, it's so strange. Like, reading it was like really abnormal. Like, you're trying to make it as though this girl is doing something that is like outside of regular ass black culture, and it's just not. Little baby is a basic fuckboy. Why would you expect anything more? And the weird part about it is he's not even attractive. So, like, to me, I would just never understand. Like, I'll never get it. I used to have high hopes too. I used to be like, oh, I want to date attractive men. And then I like looked out into society and I realized there's aren't any. So it was like, you have these dreams growing up. You're like, oh my God, like when I grow up, I'm going to be around all these attractive men, bro. Like, I grew up, I looked out into society. There aren't any attractive men. There's like a couple that they'll put on TV. Go out into the real world. Like, real society. Like, go out and see this shit for yourself. You have homosexual women, men who are like women. They like go get manicures and shit and they just look like women. And that's supposed to be like attractive to me. I'm like, oh God, like, someone shoot me. Shoot me. You can't be surprised when you're like wondering why I was trying to drink bleach. Like, it's not. All right, whatever. Just because it's top of mind, I'll talk about this now. Okay. So, it sounds like Jordan Peterson has like some new show that's about how you should get married young. Now, I agree with this. I think that when you're a senior in high school, or at the oldest, like 22, this is like when you've graduated from college, there's probably someone in your life who's like, you know, pretty decent and who's like around and who's, you know, fine enough. And you should probably partner with that person. As you get like older and you start to do more things, like, I really feel like it's 18. Like, at 18, women hit their prime. They're like pretty much like as beautiful as they're going to be. And I feel like men pretty much know, because that's the other thing, like, even though there's this like idea like, oh, but there could be someone who's like so much better out there, like, there might be someone who's like slightly more attractive than whatever woman that you're talking to, or there might be someone who's like a little bit more successful than the woman that you're talking to, but like most likely, like, that is kind of like as good as it gets sort of thing, you know, especially if you're like nowadays, it's like you just have access to Instagram. You see like a lot. You see a lot. And I think especially if you go to college, okay, some like college right now in America, like you're just around you've seen so much. Like if you're heterosexual, it's like you pretty much know what you're attracted to at this point. And so it's just not that hard to like make a choice. Your options are not like all available to you. Like, you don't have all of the choices in the whole world. Like, people seem to like give you this option, like the people who are at the top of the attractive hierarchy or whatever, like, for some reason, like, no lie, like, people continue to think that like I am failing. They're like, oh, she's not married, oh, it's such a problem, oh my God, she's struggling, oh, she's doing so awfully. Like, yeah, I don't think you guys get it. Like, for me, all that was required was to do the bare minimum. Like, that's what I had to do, and I did it. And I've always been that person who's gonna do the bare minimum. Those people in my family even refuse to do the bare minimum because genetically we won the jackpot. Like, there's no ugly person in my whole family. Pretty much everybody looks like a supermodel in their own little way. Like, we all look very different, but we're all very, very attractive. So, like, compared to you, like, we still win. And so, like, most people in my family were like, well, fuck it. Just because I'm more attractive, then I don't have to do shit. That's how they felt. I didn't feel that way. I've always tried to, like, participate in society, even despite the fact that I'm an attractive person. That's just how I personally felt. There's a lot of people, though, who don't feel like that. But I also feel like, and I feel like I've realized this for a while, with, like, immigration, you can't really play the pretty card just because there are like, a lot of pretty people immigrate. So it's like, well, now I got to compete with a whole bunch of motherfuckers who look like me. So, damn. Like, I can't only use my looks to be like, I'm very attractive. It was very funny to hear, like, Abba from Abba and Preach kind of talk about this. It's like, damn, it's like, you already know you're attractive if you're, like, Habesha. Like, there aren't any ugly Habesha people unless they, like, have, like, facial deformity or something, or, like, some sort of illness that makes them, like, really fucking ugly. Otherwise, like, I can't even describe it. Like, pretty much all Habesha people are really attractive. And I think it's like that whole thing about like ethnic ambiguity, because like racially we kind of like literally do sit right in the middle. Like I said, this like Italians literally immigrated Ethiopia and they like literally had children with all the women. So most of the people there are genetically half African and half European. That's just what the genetic makeup is because of colonialism. So it is a little bit funny to hear all these people talk about biracial this and biracial that or whatever, like whatever that's supposed to mean, as though like colonialism didn't come to Africa. And then also y'all have seen Black Americans, and I gotta also say, like, just because you have a Black person and a white person come, or really a two people from different races mixing, where one of the people's Black and they're mixing together, you don't automatically get an attractive person. There are so many unattractive Black Americans. I think that T.I. and his whole family, they are, I'm sorry, but those are very unattractive people. From his children to his wife to him, all of them are like, they're all like light skinned and ugly. Just like Coi Leray and her father, just the whole line. Like, simply being biracial does not make you attractive. And let them be a lesson to you guys, because some of you just have this idea of like light is right. And it's just like, if you want to see like an attractive like light skinned person, okay, go look like Tyla or like D or like me. I don't even know. I don't consider myself light skinned, so I don't want to say that. I consider myself very like honey, middle skin, brown skinned. I consider myself brown skinned, okay? Maybe even dark skin. I consider myself dark skinned, okay? Because like, I'm just Black. I just identify so heavily as Black. So I don't know. Like, I feel like in my heart I'm Lupita Nyong'o, right? And in my reality I'm kind of more like Rihanna. But you know, I can identify how I want. Okay, I identify as Lupita Nyong'o, and in my heart I'm Lupita, and nobody can tell me anything else. You can feel your feelings, but I am Lupita. And you can hate me, but I swear, I feel like Lupita's struggle is mine, and I want to be Lupita. So, whatever. Hey, so I saw this like a couple days ago. It just came out like 2 days ago, but I just want to read this. So it's from The Cut in New York. 5 questions with Imaan Hamman. She's focused on family, and it's like a photo of her with her family. I want to create something my whole family can be a part of, said Dutch-born Moroccan and Egyptian supermodel Imaan Hamman. When the owners of Port Tanger reached out to her for a collaboration, she knew what she wanted to do. The first thing that came to mind was my family, my upbringing in Amsterdam, having immigrant parents, my mom being Moroccan, my dad being Egyptian, growing up in a Western country. So she asked her mom and sister to be a part of the campaign. That's very special. Alongside Port Tanger, Hamman released 2 new sets of frames that are a homage to 2 of the strongest women in her life, her mother, Mbarka, and the prolific Egyptian singer, and a music staple in nearly every Arab house, Kulthum. The is a cat-eye frame reminiscent of the ones the superstar often wrote, and the Mbarka is a wide frame. All of the proceeds from Hamman's collaboration will be donated to She's the First, a nonprofit that aims to empower girls through education. The 26-year-old has long tapped her ancestry in her work, recently appearing in Amina Muaddi's campaign, which was shot in Cairo and aimed to celebrate Arab culture using an almost entirely Arab cast and crew. That's very special. For the May 2020 cover of Vogue Arabia, which Hamman styled, directed, and photographed herself, she wore Moroccan-inspired scarves and an abaya she picked up on a trip to the Gulf. It's just so important to tell our story, and that's something I've always wanted to do in everything I do in life, Hamman said to me. For me, it was so important to just dig deep and be like, okay, instead of making this a fashion thing, I want to go back to my roots. Hamman spoke to the cut about the hold Arabic music has on her hopes for herself and her family and continued exploration of her own identity. As Arab women, Kulthum's music is basically in our blood. I know she's part of the inspiration behind this line. Is there a memory or state of being that you go to now when listening to her? Well, growing up and listening to her at that time, I did not know what she was talking about, but my aunties were fully singing the lyrics. They were feeling her, and music was so important to my family. My aunt sings, my sister is a singer, and my dad used to play in an orchestra. But now that I'm grown up and I'm older, I understand her story and what she was telling. It was very political. It was poetry. It was so much emotion. They called her the voice of Egypt. Wow. Her music, when I listen to it, it literally gives me goosebumps. Her voice touches my soul. I can listen to her and I'm literally tearing up. Or sometimes I can listen to her and feel relief and find strength and power to continue what I'm doing on this earth. I know that it's like therapy for me, but also for my family and my sister. We've been through a lot. I feel like she kind of helped us through, and that's why I wanted to celebrate that and bring that story to the world. The Glasses Ink campaign were also inspired by your mother. Tell me about her. Well, she's a character. Like, she'll walk in the room and you'll feel her presence and you'll feel her energy. She just has that confidence and that strength, and that's something she always shared with us when she was growing up. She was always like, okay, don't be shy, just go for what you want. She embodies boldness, strength, power, confidence, and I used to always pray to be like her, or at least have a little bit of her. And my sister Aicha is my best friend. That's very special. Um, I can see my younger self in her. And having that sisterhood is so important. In our family, talking about your feelings doesn't really happen as much, so I'm trying to break those barriers and have a better relationship with my family members. So I always try to bring my sister with me wherever I go, and I'm so proud of her and the woman she's becoming. That's very special. You take a lot of pride in your heritage. We were raised in Amsterdam, but to Arab parents. Was it hard growing up? She says, my mom made sure we knew where we came from, and so did my dad. At home, we would speak Arabic. That was my first language, and I'm so grateful for that. So growing up, I felt very sure of who I was, and my school in Amsterdam was really, really diverse. I was brought up in this world of different cultures and different languages where we were very in tune with who we were. Having our food and our music, it's always it's always been in me. And then as soon as I moved to New York when I was 16, it was like a whole different experience. I feel like when I came here, it was like, okay, you're Arab or you're black, and it was like you're being put into these boxes. And I felt like back home, I was just like, you are who you are. Now being 26, I feel like I know who I am, but it took me a while to get there. It's a learning process. How do you keep that connection up with your roots and ancestry? Staying connected to my ancestry is really going back to the homeland for me, like visiting Morocco. I hadn't been to Egypt in 13 years, and recently I went, and it was so special. It was magical. I was like, oh my God, this is my country. It was also emotional because I did get to see my family that I hadn't seen, and I felt like I had lost a bit of me, but I really reconnected. I remember getting there and my aunts were all there and they were feeding me all this food, and thinking of it gets me emotional because that's who I am. And a lot of those years I just kind of pushed it aside. I'm on my journey to figure out who I am, and I don't think we're all going to figure it out ever. It just took me a while to be like, what are you doing? Go see your family. They're still there. Visit, learn the language, be with your people. I was so happy and proud that I did that, and I'll be visiting a lot now. What are some hopes for the future? I just want to live on a farm one day and have kids. Wow. I didn't see that coming. Good for her. Okay, so I read this, I saw this story earlier in the week. Blue, so let's see. It's Blue Ivy. She bought a pair of diamond earrings at an auction, but they were $80,000. Beyonce and Jay-Z's daughter previously found herself in a bidding war with Tyler Perry when she was just 6 years old over a painting of a young Sidney Poitier. Blue Ivy may be only 10 years old, but she already has very expensive taste. The young Grammy winner attended the Wearable Art Gala in Los Angeles with her parents, Beyonce and Jay-Z, on Saturday, where, much to the surprise of everyone,